What is going on, fishing fam? So today I've gotten a lot of requests about what lures I'm using when I'm out fishing and whatnot. I've done some videos in the past, but nothing really updated since, in a while. So I'm just gonna go over the top 5 lures that I use during the summertime, because if I was to go through the spring, the summer, and the fall, that'd be so many lures. Sorry about the jet noise. There's just been jets going over crazy lately. But anyways, so I'm just going to go over the top 5 lures that have worked really good for me this summer. Some of it has actually kind of changed, but I guess we'll just start off with the frog. So I've got a few different examples of some frogs here. This is like a scum frog right here. That first frog, this one, I can't remember what kind of frog that is. I don't use this one very much because it seems like it fills up with water really easily, and that just drives me nuts. But my favorite frog is a Spro Poppin' Frog. This is one of them I use. This one's just a black one. It's probably my favorite frogs are the Spro Poppin' Frogs. Now, generally I'm going to use this throughout the summertime, and I'm going to use it any time of the day. So I'm going to use this when I get out early mornings. It's probably one of my favorite times, or and just around weeds and whatnot, because in the summertime a lot of vegetation grows up. So frogs are super nice because they're weedless for one. They stay up top, and the Spro Poppin' Frog, what's nice about it, has that cup on the front, so it almost acts like a popper too, so you can almost fish this open water as well. And that's just, you can use that throughout the day, because bass are up shallow throughout the day, because a lot of people think that when it's hot out, bass will just immediately go deep. Well, sometimes, but they're looking for oxygen during the summertime, so they're going to go to underneath vegetation, which produces a lot of that for them, and a lot of shade cover, so they'll still be shallow, and you can catch bass throughout the day on a frog real easily. So frogging is definitely like one of my number ones. So the next bait that has worked really well for me, and these are in no particular order, they're just in general, these are the top 5 baits that I'm going to use during the summertime. We'll go with the chatterbait. Now this is black and blue, and I like to use a white and yellow one, chartreuse, or like a just an all white one to imitate shad. I like to use like a paddle tail, like a soft plastic swim bait behind it for my trailer, just to give it some more vibration in the water, just to throw things up a little bit, and create a little more commotion with the blade vibrating. Why I like a chatterbait so much is during the summertime, there's a lot of vegetation that grows up. So, a chatterbait is one of those baits that can pull through vegetation really, really easily. Very, very easily. And what's nice about it is, it doesn't get caught up in there. I mean, you can pop it through vegetation, rip it through really nicely, and that's where you get that reaction strike where bass hit it. How I fish this particular lure is I'll reel it nice and slow, slow enough where like I can feel the blade vibrating, but I can also feel it bumping into things. So if I'm reeling and I don't feel it bumping into things, I'll start slowing it down enough till I feel that blade vibrating, but not I'm bumping into things. Because when you bump into things, that's what creates them bass to get a reaction strike out of them, and that's the fun part about it. So, and it's a great search bait if you're having a hard time finding fish. Boom, you throw out a chatterbait, creating a lot of commotion, vibration in the water, bam, you got fish. My next one is like a square bill crankbait. This one is black and chartreuse. Reason why I like this color so much is I fish the Mississippi River a lot. So, fishing on the Mississippi River, I fish a lot of rocks and rock pylons and just a lot of rock for smallmouth. And honestly, the square bill crankbait and other crankbaits that I have, like this one here, And I do prefer Strike King. You don't have to get Strike King lures. I just prefer Strike King. I like their crankbaits. I just always have. Pretty much a square bill crankbait or anything that I can, depending on the depth, the crankbaits that I can get down and bounce off a rock. Particularly square bills this year have been pretty good for me. On dirty water, I'm going to fish black and chartreuse, or I'm going to fish like this, this red, something that pops out nicely in the dirty water. So I'm going to fish that around rock to bounce it off a rock, depending on how deep it is and whatnot, to get some reaction strikes out of some smallmouth. So that's my number 3 bait. My 4th bait is probably going to be a punching rig. Now, what that looks like, let me get this out over here. Is right here. So a punching rig looks like that. So what I've got set up on this is probably so what I do is I'm gonna take a bobber stopper and put that on first for my peg. Now when I fish a punching rig, you're always gonna want to peg it. Then I put my 1 ounce tungsten on, and then I tie on my flipping hook, which is generally a like 4/0 or 5/0 flipping hook. And then you have your soft plastic. I would suggest when you get your soft plastic, you use something like these Rage Tails here. I'll show you what one of them looks like this. I mean, it doesn't have a whole lot of appendages on it, and that's what you want. You don't want something with a bunch of appendages on it, because when you're punching through that vegetation, you want it to just go straight down. You don't want it to get hung up on anything. So anything that's going to help it get down right away. And I'm going to fish that all day, every day. What I like to do is fish it with the frog. And if you get a frog blow up and you flip your frog back in there and he doesn't hit the frog again, you can pull out that punching rig and pitch in there. And sometimes you can get that bass to bite on that punching rig, which is really, really nice. Now, that would be my 4th bait. My 5th bait is probably going to be one of my favorites. Just a little, this is probably a 3/0 I think, but I like to use a 4/0 offset hook. Just an offset hook with a bullet weight. And I like to rig up a soft plastic, generally a Senko. And I use Gary Yamamoto Senkos, or crawfish, or crawdad, whatever you want to use. I just Texas rig it, and I pitch around a Texas rig. That is like a go-to bait for me, is a Texas rig. You can never fail with a Texas rig. You can flip docks with it. You can flip edges of grass lines. You can flip it on top of grass, weeds, and reel it across the top. You can bounce it through rocks. You can do everything with a Texas rig. It's probably my number 1, honestly, because it could just be fished in so many different variables. I mean, that's basically my top 5. The frog, the chatterbait, the square bill, the punching rig, and the Texas rig. Now, when I fish the frog, you're going to want to fish that on a generally, I mean, you can get away with a medium heavy. I've done it plenty of times, but you generally want to fish it on a heavy action rod with like 60-pound braid on there, 50-60-pound braid, because you're generally fishing it in some pretty heavy vegetation. So when a bass comes up and takes that frog, you need that heavy action rod to drive those hooks, because these hooks, they're big hooks. You got to be able to drive that through their mouth. And you also have, a lot of vegetation you're going to be pulling that fish through. So you need, if you get a 4 or 5 pounder on in that vegetation, you got to be able to get them out. So with that heavy action rod, that's going to give you that backbone to slam those hooks through his mouth, plus pull him out. And with that 50-60-pound braid, it's just going to reef him right out of there. Now, I have gotten away with a medium heavy several times, and I still do use a medium heavy. With the punching rig, you're going to want to do pretty much the same thing. People even go up to like 80-pound braid. You're going to use a heavy action rod with like 70-80-pound braid on there, because you have an ounce, tungsten on there plus lots of vegetation. I mean, the same things apply with the frog. You're going to want like the highest speed reel you can get. I use a 7 1-to-1 because I don't have any 8 1-to-1s. If I had an 8 1-to-1, I would use that because you want that high speed reel to get them up out of that grass. Okay. Now, with the chatterbait, I have a medium heavy fast action rod, the chatterbait, and my square bill. What I use for that rod is 7.6 medium heavy fast action rod with 20-pound fluorocarbon. Now you could go down to 12, but since it's summertime and I'm throwing that chatterbait around a lot of vegetation, I want a little bit stronger line. And I'm throwing my, with 12-pound, I've just noticed my line frays a lot when I'm pitching down by rocks and stuff, so that really gets annoying, fraying and retying. So I find with the 20-pound, it just seems to hold up better in the long run for me. I know a lot of people use a lot of other things, but for me, that's what I like to use. The Texas rig, now that's my kind of like my lighter rig. So what I run that on is a 6-foot, and I would say longer rod. I mean, it depends on your style. I don't mind the 6-foot, but I would like a little longer rod. It gives you a little more leverage on the fish. And I have a 7 1-to-1 on my. Let's just go back to the chatterbait and square bill rod and cranking rod. I don't have a higher speed reel on there, which is fine by me. I think I have like a 6 4-to-1 on there, which is a little bit slower than the 7 1-to-1, but I don't mind that because I'm really not trying to just reef that thing in right away, I'm just kind of, reeling in. So for me, that works well. Now, the Texas rig, I like to put that on my medium fast action rod with a 7 1-to-1. And I'm using 12-pound fluorocarbon on that because generally I'm not pitching that into heavy cover or heavy stuff anyway. So I'm going to use that, 12-pound fluorocarbon, medium fast action rod, because you're not pitching into thick cover or anything like that. So that's personally what I like to use on there. So there you have it. That's my 5 overall baits for the summertime. So, I mean, I got a lot of requests on that, a lot of people asking me, so I was like, I'm just going to make a video. I was going to do it right after my last video, but that would have made it like a 30-minute video. It would have been really super long, and I don't like to make my videos that super long because it just bores people that way. Just my top 5 summer baits that have worked so far this year for me really well. Last year I would have had some different things on here, but things, have been a little different this year. So those are my top 5. Hope you enjoyed the video. Like, subscribe. If you want to see anything else, what I would use in the springtime, fall time, any other lures that I would use in the summertime, certain situations, just let me know what you want to see, or, comment down below. I'll make a video. That's no problem for me. So I appreciate all the support. Remember, like, subscribe. If you like it, give it a thumbs up, share it, and all that good stuff for me. But remember, keep fishing hard. So we'll catch you later.